Commissioner Kershaw, you mentioned in your opening statement that this week AFP investigators have arrested another convicted terrorist recently released from prison for a breach of his control orders. Understand it's a very recent arrest, but what information are you able to provide the committee about that arrest?
Well, these particular individuals, and I think the Deputy will find the particulars, is when you're on a control order, there are certain conditions. It's quite exhaustive, and it may be things like not carrying the mobile phone or not reporting to police certain activities or changes in circumstances.
And why do we put these conditions on these terrorists when they are released from prison?
We're concerned about the risk of these people in the community, and that's the basis of the AFP obtaining a control order in relation to those individuals, Senator.
So in effect, we're not putting, just for those listening at home that might not necessarily know that much about these control orders, we're not putting unreasonable conditions upon these people. What we are doing is putting conditions upon terrorists who have been released from prison to ensure, in an attempt to ensure that they don't recommit the crimes that they originally went behind bars for.
Yes, and these are court ordered, so they go through a process, as in they're contested. So it's issued by a judicial officer, and we comply with the Act. So there is a number of different conditions we can put on there, but our main focus is keeping the community safe. Our belief is on these particular individuals, they do pose a threat, a continuing, enduring threat and risk to the Australian people. So we'll continue to put those conditions on those individuals and use the Act appropriately, and when you breach it, it's like breaching bail or other conditions or probation, there will be a action taken by the AFP.
And Commissioner, you said in your opening statement that this is the third such arrest since July this year. Do you mean to say that this is the third time a convicted terrorist has breached their control orders and been arrested as a result of this, this financial year? It
is, and it's part of our, I think the Deputy alluded to it, it's a very resource-intensive process, and it's one that we've concentrated on, and we're lucky to have such great partner agencies that within the Home Affairs team that work with us, providing us intelligence and assisting us with, and the State Police, of course, in our joint counter-terrorism teams. It's a lot of work, but what we're showing is that to those particular individuals, these are just not an order that no one's going to make sure that they're not complied with. So we're making sure that we're sending some strong signals there to the other 8 to say you need to comply with your order, otherwise you will be charged.
3 of the 8 have breached their orders.
Yep.
Does that concern you?
The whole thing around these particular individuals being released from prison actually does concern us. We're using all the tools and legislation available to us, noting that continuing detention is obviously our preference, and that's something that we're working with our partner agencies on some of these individuals and other tactics to really, our focus is to make sure that the Australian community is safe. In our view, a lot of these individuals haven't changed their own ideologies, and that still remains a constant concern to us.
Yes, I'm honestly likewise concerned. I mean, to hear from you here today that 3 of the 8 that we currently have under orders are not doing the right thing and are not complying by those orders does lead me, and I suspect most Australians, to think that the framework is perhaps not operating as well as it could, and particularly given the comments that you've just made around how resource intensive it is to monitor these people. Plus, you alluded to in your response just then, Commissioner, that you have concerns that whatever ideological views or motivations might have resulted in these people committing these atrocious acts to start with haven't faded away during their time behind bars. I mean, should these people really be allowed back out into the community?
Well, probably as a police commissioner, or most police officers would say no. But if we look at our overseas experience, what we're concerned about is, you know, some of the most recent examples are people who have been allegedly de-radicalised, but they've faked that or got through those tests.
Sorry, they faked their de-radicalisation. Is that something
Yes.
that's possible to fake? I
Well,
didn't know that.
they've been assessed as being de-radicalised. They've gone through programs and so on, so they haven't or changed their views. And it's something that we're, you know, really watching carefully with our partner agencies, not just here in Australia but overseas. And we're all learning from each other what's the best methods and tactics, and we're applying those. And you know, we will continue to be, I would say, relentless in our protection of Australians, both here and overseas, in relation to these people.
It does seem to me that one of the best tactics to keep the community safe would be to keep these people in prison as long as possible.
That would be, we would support that view.